Everybody's gonna pay. Everybody's Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and you're listening to the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
And out the night out. You're in the Wrestle Talk. 657-383-1521. We'll be discussing WWE, NXT, Underground, ROH, fantasy wrestling, and we have some of the best damn interviews for professional and independent wrestling that you've ever heard.
I'm Joe Land. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle your seatbelts, keep your arms in the vehicle at all times. Wrestle Talk begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the ride. What is up, Wrestle Talk fans and family? How is it going? It is 8:01 on Wednesday. That means one thing and one thing only. You are listening to the Wrestle Talk Podcast with Joe and Renee, and for that, we thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you. If it was not for you and our sponsors, we would not be able to be here today, but we probably would still be here today. But you guys are absolutely amazing. We got a great show for you tonight. We got the High Spot segment. We got the Shoot and Shout segment. We got the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. We got the Fantasy Wrestling segment. We got the Snippets of Truth. And if that is not enough for you, Ring of Honor World Television Champion Shane Taylor coming on. It is going to be an absolute amazing night. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and bring in the man that needs no introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, the Night Owl.
Hey! ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa? Loyal members of the Wrestle Talk family, welcome in to episode 247 of the Wrestle Talk Podcast with your boy, the Night Owl, and of course, the one, the only, the man who started the Wrestle Talk Podcast, Nightmare Jones. Jonesy, man, what is up with you tonight, Chico?
Oh, you know, same old. I went to the movies today, saw John Wick 3, and let me tell you something. I have figured out what my Shoot and Shout segment is going to be this week. Oh, my goodness.
I think I have an idea.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one.
Is it prices at the concession stand? Because that's ridiculous.
I mean, I definitely could go with the prices of the concession stand. That is definitely true. But in my area, we have a cheaper theater where the popcorn, you can get a medium popcorn, 2 large drinks, and some candy for like $10.
$10?
So,
10?
Yeah.
Dude, that's how much a bottle of water costs at the movie theater that I go to. I mean, it's freaking ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely. If you go to Regal, it's like for like a small popcorn, it's like $6. It's like $6, and I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, they are tripping, Jonesy. You know what?
Good.
I cannot wait, dude. I cannot wait to get to the Shoot and Shout segment. I can't wait to hear what you have on deck, man. Let me tell you something. I just want to start off by thanking everybody who's tuning in on the YouTube. Go ahead and rep your city, man. If you're tuning in on YouTube right now live, let us know where you're checking in from. And please comment and share this broadcast. Number 2, Jonesy, we made the announcement last week. Our partnership with Darko is over. We are, for now, exclusively focusing on the mugs. So if you would like to support the Wrestle Talk Podcast and want something incredible in return, remember, head on over to the merch booth at WrestleTalkPodcast.com. You can buy one as is for $15. We'll customize it for you for another $5. and then you take care of the shipping, and you'll have it in your hands in less than 2 weeks, man. I'm really excited. And from what I hear, Jonesy, every beer drunken out of a Wrestle Talk podcast mug has been known to taste 15 to 20 cents better because it is in the Wrestle Talk podcast mug. That's what I'm hearing. That's the word on the street.
Unless it is Sweetwater Peach Happiness, which is by far the worst beer I have ever tasted in my entire life.
What?
All I gotta say.
Wow. What? Well, you know what?
Yeah.
We'll have to get into that a little bit later, Jonesy, because we do have a lot to get to on tonight's show. We want you guys to carry us through the show because the shows where we have a lot of callers, man, they just seem to be the best shows. We're one of the very few podcasts on the planet that attempts to do this live. So we do it so that you can interact. You want to talk wrestling, you got something you want to get off your chest. The Wrestle Talk podcast is the place to do it. We want to encourage you guys to dial that number. One of my friends on the live feed, please go ahead and type this out. The number is 657-383-1521. Again, that's 657-383-1521. And for those of you listening on replay, we love you just the same. And we want you to know that you can watch us back on YouTube and on any podcasting platform of your preference. That includes iTunes, Google Podcasts, so on and so forth. They're all there. The Wrestle Talk podcast is all over, baby, for your guys' enjoyment. And guess what? They're lucky, Jonesy. They're lucky that we're all over the place because we do have some badass guests today. I know you were talking about it earlier, man. I actually went back and watched the match where Shane captured the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. It was amazing. A lot of their stuff is available for free on YouTube. So shout out to Ring of Honor for making sure that their product is available to their consumer, even us consumers that don't have a lot of money. So shout out to them. And then, of course, dude, Chris, a guy that I ran into just 2 weeks ago over at Journey Pro, quickly gaining a reputation as one of the best photographers in the game. He's going to join us for about 20, 25 minutes and tell us kind of how he went from doing bands to pro wrestling and then jumping back and forth between the two. It's going to be an incredible time with Chris Manning and Shane Taylor. But that said, Jonesy, I do believe it is time that we always do what we always do about this time, as we respectfully ask everybody to remove their caps, place their hands over their hearts, as we pay homage to the greatest country on God's green earth, and that's America, dang it.
Oh, say, can you see and the rocket red flag? Uh-oh. I'll make up for it now. For the land of the free.
It brings a tear to my eye every single time. I'm telling you, it does.
Well, you know what, Jonesy? It does to me as well. And something that also brings a bit of a tear of my eye, but for a good reason, is, man, remember last week, people submitted their prayer requests to Big Daddy P. He probably will not be available today. So if for those of you guys that were lining up for your prayer requests, you're just going to have to hold them off for a week until Big Daddy P gets back. But, man, DJ Stewart from Journey Pro, man, finally came home. I believe it was yesterday, the day before. They had to remove a tumor. I think they ended up finding like another one while they were up there. And I'm glad to report that he is back home with his lovely wife at his new home. And let me tell you something, man, it takes a hell of a guy to be able to fight through something like that. Like I told you guys on a personal note last go around, my father had a significant brain surgery a few years back, and it was something very similar to what DJ was dealing with. So my heart definitely went out to him, man. I just want to go ahead and follow up with everybody and let you guys know that DJ of Journey Pro is doing much, much better. And I'm sure everybody's going to be super, super happy to hear that. Right, Jonesy?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're all glad that he's doing a lot better. That's awesome.
No doubt about it. Well, Jonesy, I don't know if you want to go ahead and lead us in to tonight's edition of the High Spot segment where we let the callers dictate the topic of conversation. And boy, oh boy, do we have some things to discuss Intern Timmy, you know what to do.
Earthlings, we have now taken over your radio.
I hit 'em high, hit 'em high, hit 'em high. If you hit 'em low, hit 'em low. Break the hole. The brain got no game. I'm breaking your out the brain coming through like a truck.
Oh my goodness, yes, we do have a lot to talk about tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and kick it off, and I'm going to go ahead and get the elephant out of the room. I would have to say Money in the Bank was a great pay-per-view until Brock Lesnar came out and grabbed that Money in the Bank briefcase, and that single moment pissed off just about every wrestling fan that I can think of. It was all over Facebook. It was all over social media. Everybody was completely pissed off. And for me, it took Money in the Bank from being a B plus to maybe a C plus, just because of Brock Lesnar coming out and not taking a single bump after people had been busting their butts and going through ladders and everything else. And he climbs up the ladder and he grabs the Money in the Bank briefcase, and it looks like we're probably going to see Brock Lesnar as a champion once again. And I don't get it.
Does that make you upset, Jonesy? Does that make you upset? Are you all hurt? Are you all teared up inside because Brock Lesnar took the belt again? Are you upset about it? It sounds like you're upset to me.
And I would tell you why it makes me upset. It makes me upset because you have other wrestlers that were in that match that deserve the Money in the Bank briefcase a lot more than what Brock Lesnar did. You have wrestlers that wrestle every single Monday night, every single Tuesday night, and they all had to take a backstage to Brock Lesnar, who doesn't wrestle on Monday nights, doesn't wrestle on Tuesday nights. He only wrestles on pay-per-views, and I'm sick of it, damn it.
Ah, I see. Okay, so let me get this straight, Jonesy. You are not upset because it's bad for business. You're upset because you're just tired of seeing it. So you've already admitted that this is not about pro wrestling. This is not about the business of pro wrestling. This is about your, and of course, when I direct these things at you, Jonesy, I'm talking about the wrestling universe as a whole. And I dare anybody to come on and argue with me about this. If you got the huevos, dial that number. Somebody type it in. That's 657-383-1521. Okay, so let me go back to addressing you, Jonesy, as you represent the masses. Okay, so don't take any of this personally, please. You sit there and already admit that this is not a bad business decision. You're admitting that for your own personal motivations, this is something that you're not happy about. And listen, if you want to be honest with everybody like that, I want to tell you right off the bat, I appreciate it, because you, sir, are already a step ahead from all the other sheep in the IWC. That's the Internet Wrestling Community. Everybody seems to think that because they don't like it, that it's a bad business decision. And I'm here to tell all of you, wrong. But that's why at your job, when your boss does stuff and you don't like it, it doesn't matter. They still implement it. They still do it. Why? Because they don't necessarily care if you like it. They know that overall, it's best for their business to change and to evolve and to do different things, or maybe to go back to doing things the way that they used to. There's a reason, Jonesy, that when Roman dropped the belt, they went to Brock. Now, they're not 100% sure what to do with the heavyweight championship. You already heard murmurs, people complaining about Kofi getting stale. So what do? You do the most unexpected thing that could have possibly happened, and you have Brock Lesnar come in at a moment where no one expects it, because you can't say they were predictable. Be honest, Jonesy, were you surprised in that moment? Is that something that you predicted or expected?
No, it wasn't, and I'm not saying that it. I am sitting there saying that it is definitely not best for.
You're saying it's a bad business decision.
What?
That's what you're saying?
It's a bad business. Yes, it is a bad business decision, because you have a lot more wrestlers that deserve that Money in the Bank a lot more than what Brock Lesnar does. I'm not saying that it's a that you know that I'm just mad because Brock Lesnar got the Money in the Bank briefcase. No, what I'm saying is that the WWE has become stale. It has become stale because you have a champion like Brock Lesnar that comes in, wrestles a couple pay-per-views, gets paid millions of dollars, and the other wrestlers that are there every single Monday night, every single Tuesday night have to take a backstage to Brock Lesnar. Can you honestly say that you want to see Brock Lesnar as the champion again?
Yes, I do.
What?
Yes, I do. Bro, we
Get
sat
outta
here, listen,
here.
we sat here and talked about it last week, okay? And listen, Joe, I respect where you're coming from. You're a very knowledgeable wrestling fan. And you know what? I can't argue how you feel because you feel how you feel. But let me tell you something. From a business perspective, this is freaking gold, okay? You say the product is stale, okay? And I hear a lot of people say that.
Yes.
But the moment Brock Lesnar came out and won the Money in the Bank, you lost your shit. You threw your phone across the room and you said you tweeted out that you were going to cancel your WWE network, okay? So if something is stale, okay, and I know you did not do that. Again, you're representing the IWC as a whole, Jonesy. Like I said, don't take any of this personally. But what I'm saying is that kind of reaction, you cannot quantify the value of someone getting so pissed off about what you did that they throw their phone across the room, turn off the TV, and threaten to cancel their WWE Network subscription on Twitter. Okay? And the fact of the matter is, go ahead, Jonesy. Go ahead. I'll let you jump in before I go too far.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. What would have gotten a better reaction? Brock Lesnar coming out, grabbing the Money in the Bank briefcase, or Bray Wyatt showing up and interfering in that match in some way, shape, or form? What would have gotten a better reaction?
Okay, so I will answer your question, and I'll try not to answer your question with a question. Here's how I'll respond to that. Bray Wyatt would have gotten a better reaction, but he would not have gotten a bigger reaction. He would have gotten a better reaction, but not a bigger reaction. Dude, Brock Lesnar sneaking in and taking that championship, that Money in the Bank, it trumped matches that we've been begging for years. It trumped Kevin Owens against, having a real wrestling match with somebody that's a lifetime WWE guy like Kofi Kingston, okay? It trumped AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins, which is a dream match, which is a pay-per-view match in any era. A WrestleMania match, mind you, in any era. But what were we talking about at the end of the pay-per-view? Brock Lesnar. And that's what I'm trying to get everybody to understand. I would much more prefer to see a guy like Seth Rollins as champion or Kevin Owens as champion that is there every week, that is defending or whatever, okay? The thing is, Jonesy, is that is what inevitably becomes stale. When Dean Ambrose won the championship, the moment he won it, his stock plummeted. Everybody was about Kofi Mania until Kofi won the championship, and now you've got about 20 to 25% of the IWC saying that his title reign is stale, that he's unwatchable, that it doesn't feel real. You know what feels real? When Brock Lesnar's music hits in the middle of Hulk Hogan's birthday celebration and everybody pisses their pants as the man walks down and intimidates legends in the pro wrestling business. So whether you like it or not, Jonesy, I know I have my mixed feelings about it. There is no question that Brock Lesnar is best for business, especially with the impending Fox deal with SmackDown and the fact that this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, is what? Oh, that's right. AEW is coming out swinging for the fences. So you better call Brock Lesnar and every other freaking legend that you can think of There's a reason Undertaker is facing Goldberg in Saudi Arabia. They know that the line between them and the separation between them and some of the other companies, it's shortening. So they're trying to do things that are going to surprise us, that are going to make us happy, that are going to make us super mad. And they continue to do it, bro. I got to give them credit, because the raw emotion of the love and hate in WWE is still there. Unfortunately for us that are loyalists, we usually get the short end of that stick. But when it comes to actually growing the product and getting more eyeballs and getting people that are maybe lukewarm on pro wrestling, dude, dropping a name like Brock Lesnar in the middle of your Money in the Bank pay-per-view is not a bad idea. It's not. Is it boring? Are you over it? Do you wish there was a champion that was there every night? Absolutely. You know, for the most part, I feel the same way. But I will hear no arguments to the contrary. Brock Lesnar is best for business. Those are just my thoughts, Jonesy.
Absolutely. You know, we can agree to disagree on the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Renee. And there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about, and that was the reaction to the new 24/7 championship. Everybody was like expecting it to be a hardcore championship. And if you watch Monday Night Raw, when he pulled out the 24/7 championship, he got little to no response whatsoever to that championship. But I dig it though. I dig it because it's kind of cool that each week you're gonna see, you know, a probably a mid-carder, if not lower, trying to grab that title. I mean, heck, we had Titus O'Neil was the first 24/7 champion. Then it was Bobby Roode, and then it was
R-Truth, yeah. who
So,
I believe, as far as I know, is still, as we speak, the champion. It's hard to keep track. It's going to be one of those deals that you almost got to keep an eye on social media on a daily basis. But you know what I think this is actually going to be, Jonesy? And they're calling it the 24/7 title. And I know, hey, listen, I know there's some people on hold. We're going to try to get to you, okay? And we do have Chris Manning coming up in about 10 minutes, okay? It's really not the 24/7 title. What they wanted to call it was the social media championship, but they couldn't because it just doesn't roll off the tongue. Now, you could argue that 24/7 doesn't really roll off the tongue either. But here's why I think it's meant to be the social media championship, okay? Now, it's funny that we're talking about this because we have the ROH World Television Champion that'll be joining us in the second hour, Shane Taylor. That's Shane216 Taylor on Twitter. Make sure y'all go give him a follow. Make sure you tag Wrestle Talk. Okay, Shane216 Taylor on Twitter. Jonesy, they want you and me to stay hooked into the product, not just Monday and Tuesday. They want us to be hooked into the product Monday to Sunday. But they only televise shows live twice a week. And then, of course, you have NXT, which is pre-recorded, which we compete against because most of us watch NXT the day after. That's, from what I understand, that's where most of their views come from, the day after, okay? I guess what I'm trying to say is, with this social media title thing, they want to be able to keep you hooked in over the 7 days of the week. And how do you do that? You introduce a championship that could potentially have a match only last 15 seconds. And where is the perfect place to show this match? On social media. Mark my words, before too long, that title is going to be defended on Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Twitter, and anywhere else that you can freaking think of, as long as they know that the eyeballs will be there to justify it. They want people hooked in and pursuing the product every single day of the week. So you have to introduce a championship that any place, anytime, anywhere, as long as there's a ref. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, regardless of how you feel about the name or the appearance of it, I think it's a fantastic idea. I agree with you, Jonesy. If you want to engage with your fan, you want to keep them hooked in 24/7, 365. How do you do it? You do it with a championship that anyone, anywhere, on any platform, including house shows, okay, including all platforms of social media, including Monday, Tuesdays, NXT UK, and so on and so forth. That's exactly how you keep the fan base hooked. You give them something where they could follow it everywhere they go. That's why Pokemon Go was such a hit, because you didn't have to go home to play the game. It was already on your phone. And as a matter of fact, the more places you went, the more you could engage with it. It was always there. And I think that's what the 24/7 social media title is kind of meant to do. And again, I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have one more topic before Chris Manning calls in just a couple of minutes. And so this past weekend, I was refereeing a wrestling show. And in this wrestling show, they had a hardcore match. Now, in this particular wrestling promotion, they are permitted to bleed. And most times, if you don't know, a lot of times they use a blade. Well, one of the guys in the match had never bladed before. He'd never been in a hardcore match. And you could tell that he was nervous the entire day. But when it came time for him to do his blade job, he kind of screwed up a little bit. And it was a complete accident. And accidents happen. And this dude literally gashed his head open, and it was just absolutely insane. And I just want to know what your thoughts about if you were at a wrestling show and if you saw somebody was in a hardcore match and something happened like that, and instead of the guy getting out of the ring, he continued with the match where he's bleeding all over the place.
Well, Jonesy, I'm going to give it to you straight, man. I have seen my fair share of hardcore matches, tables, chairs, you name it, no holds barred. And I've seen my fair share of color over the last couple of years. And I will tell you, then on at least one occasion, man, watching a match, it made me cringe a little bit. It really did. I felt a little uncomfortable, not just for myself, but for the people that were around me, for some of the people that maybe were at their first show. And of course, it goes without saying, but like the little kids, you know what I mean? I was like, wow, like I don't, and listen, I don't want to censor anybody or anything like that. I mean, if you go to a wrestling show, you got to kind of be prepared, that things might go in that direction. It always made me a little bit uncomfortable. But when I saw it happen, Jonesy, I always saw it happen with people that knew what the F they were doing, okay? On every occasion, it was always someone that was like a vet, somebody that you could tell had been up and down the road a few times. I don't know what age this guy was that did it, but I think, and I don't know if there should be an age limit on color or not, but someone should have enough sense to understand that's not something you just on a whim show up backstage and go, hey, you know what? I've never done color before. Let's go ahead and give it a whirl. You know what I mean? Like, no, dude. That needs to happen in a trained and controlled environment before you go out and potentially cause people serious harm. You're talking about blood spilling all over the place to the point where even a seasoned referee such as yourself, was uncomfortable. That tells me it went way beyond where it should have gone. And really, somebody needed to step in, bro. Somebody needed to step in.
That's a hardcore match. They put on another canvas over top of the other canvas because they don't want to get the regular canvas, messy with the blood and stuff. The guy bled so much that it actually soaked through the canvas.
The secondary canvas. Jeez Louise, man.
The secondary canvas, and now the promotion who was renting that wrestling ring has to buy a new canvas.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah. So.
Well, you know what?
But yeah,
that's unfortunate. So what ended up happening? Was the guy okay? Did he get in trouble? Was it like, hey, it was just an accident? So what ended up happening?
Yeah, it was just a freak accident, and he did it the wrong way. And accidents happen, and he went to the hospital, and he ended up getting I think it was 7 or 8 stitches, and it's basically water under the bridge. I mean, I'm not mad about any hardcore matches. I mean, sometimes hardcore matches are perfect if they make sense. Like, for instance, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Mark Sterling and Jeremy Wyatt have a pretty bloody match?
Yes.
Or was it somebody else than
Yes,
Jeremy Wyatt?
correct.
Yes, but it made sense because it was such a huge feud.
Yeah, it was
correct?
like a year long or maybe longer.
Yeah, it was a year long. So I mean, it's just sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it really doesn't make sense. But anyways, what do you got for us, Renee? I know you got at least something while we wait for Chris to call in.
Well, I do actually. So first and foremost, let me address one of the comments here on the YouTube live. Yes, Ric Flair is out of the hospital after successful after successful surgery. So huge shout out to Ric Flair. We were praying real hard for Rick. We know that about a week ago there were some felonious reports about how severe it was. Listen, I learned this a long time ago. Surgery, no matter what it is always serious. You go under the knife, man, you got to pray for somebody that they don't get an infection because, a lot of crazy stuff happens, bro. You go in for one thing and you come out with another. So it's good to hear that Ric Flair is doing very, very well. Also, wanted to take a second to thank our friends over at KCK Dental. They continue to support the Wrestle Talk podcast. Part of the reason we're starting to up our game a little bit, our first ever sponsor. They continue to take care of us, and we're very, very grateful. And then, of course, man, big shout out to our boy Jay Hollywood and Pat Milicic, Combat Everything / The Conspiracy Farm, doing big things, baby. They went and got a new poster. They got a new website. I mean, they are really doing big things, man. We could not be any prouder of those guys. And then also a big shout out to New Breed Wrestling. We got a special invitation to go out there at the end of June and hang out with them. Maybe even do a little bit of an interview with Ricky Morton. I'm very, very excited. And then, of course, they're going to have a tremendous show, which they always do, just like the one that they had this past Saturday, which included like Calvin Aldridge, which we posted about recently, Kurt Gannon, amongst other awesome superstars. So big shout out to those guys. And I'll tell you what, Jonesy, the wrestling, just like the temperature, is starting to heat up, man. And I cannot wait for us to get into the full swing of spring and summer, man. I know there's going to be so many awesome outside shows, which I always really, really enjoy. And, man, I'm hoping I'm going to be in Florida sometime in July that I could potentially go to an independent wrestling show over in Florida. I've never done that. And you guys know Wrestle Talk podcast travels. So if I get a chance, Jonesy, when I'm down there in July, bro, I'm going to try to take my stinking ass to a wrestling show. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. If it's going to be at a wrestling show in Florida in July, make sure that the venue has air conditioning, because we all know what it feels like to go to a wrestling show that does not have air conditioning.
Dude, you know what? I know how Florida is, bro. I grew up there, and I know you got to come prepared. I know I'm going to be sweating. I feel like my skin tone is going to be even tanner than it is now. I feel like I'm going to walk out of Florida looking like a nacho. No, not nacho, like a Dorito, the spicy kind, though, like spicy nacho Doritos. You know how they're a little bit darker? That's the color I'm going to be, bro. That's the color I'm going to be by the time I get back from Florida. And I'll tell you what, man, there was one other thing that I did want to talk to you guys about before we bring on Chris Manning, who'll be joining us here in about 2 minutes. Guys, this weekend, I don't know how you feel about the price tag, okay? I know that paying the $39.99 is something that we felt like we were past as a wrestling community with the advent of streaming and, of course, the WWE Network, Fight TV, ROH.TV, and some of those other places. We maybe have gotten a little bit spoiled and felt like maybe something isn't worth the $39.99 or whatever it is that they're charging for the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Let me remind everybody that as rich as the Khans are and as much wisdom as they have with the guys that they've brought under that umbrella, one thing is for sure. AEW, just like any other promotion, is a business. So if you're as excited about AEW as you claim to be, if you're as sick of the WWE and Brock Lesnar as you claim to be, don't pirate that shit. Like, pay the $39.99 for the whole pay-per-view. Now, I've got a little bit of a difference in opinion with some people in terms of whether or not matches should be broadcast free or whatever. I feel like you always give some away to get some, kind of like Revolver does. They let people film and do whatever they want. But I think this is one of those situations where I'm sorry, Joe, what were you going to say?
Yeah, the pre-show, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be free. It's going to be on one of the channels, but then the regular pay-per-view, you know, I totally get what you're going. Like, I'm fans on all kinds of pro wrestling Facebook pages, and you wouldn't believe the where can I watch AEW for free at? Where can I watch it for free at? I'm like, man, this is like an up and coming company. Like, spend the money to watch the pay-per-view. Don't pirate it and watch it for freaking free.
Yeah, dude. And that's my thing. Like, whoever it is in the pro wrestling business, whether it be ring announcers, referees, in-ring competitors, photographers, like we're going to have Chris on here in just a moment, they all had to pay a certain toll, whether it be for equipment, travel, whether it be gear, training, whatever it may be. So listen, again, I go to shows. I usually broadcast a match through Wrestle Talk Podcast, but usually the understanding is, hey, let us film one of your matches. We have a great following. Maybe that'll entice people to come out and see the full show, or it might entice them to say, hey, thing in its entirety. And then we would say, hey, go to Fight TV, go to, IndieWrestling.tv or whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, if you're going to try to watch the whole pay-per-view, just go ahead and pay it. It's a once-in-a-lifetime type deal. It's something that's never happened before. And truthfully, if you are as excited about it as you say you are, then that's not too high of a price to ask, in my personal and humble opinion. So we'll go ahead and leave it there. If we have a chance a little bit later, Jonesy, we'll go ahead and cover the card a little bit. But I do not want to keep the fans waiting any longer. Okay? I am excited because, as you guys know, here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast, we have the privilege of talking to a lot of awesome people. Okay? But we don't only limit it to top flight talent like our current, ROH World Television Champion that'll be joining us in the second hour. No, we like to talk everybody of different facets from the pro wrestling world. And there is one profession in the pro wrestling world that I think always kind of flies under the radar, but is just as important as any other position in the pro wrestling world, and that is the position of photographer. We are fortunate enough to have one of the very best in the business joining us on the show today to talk to us a little bit about his journey. So, intern Timmy, go ahead and cue up that music as we welcome into the Wrestle Talk Podcast for the very first time, Chris Manning.
What's going on, Chris?
Holy cow, I got theme music. That's fantastic.
Absolutely, of course. Only for the best. Only for
I appreciate
the
that.
best.
So I apologize if I'm going to seem a little feeble-brained. I'm doing what I do several days a week. I'm looking for a parking spot in front of a venue, shooting for PWP tonight. I'm doing their promo. So I am able to talk. That's a good thing about hands-free devices, but driving around Benson, Nebraska, looking for a place to park. So
that's awesome, man. And that's what it takes when you have a passion for something, and of course when you're good at it. So let me kick this off, Jonesy, if it's okay with you, because I do have some questions for Chris.
Okay.
Awesome.
Right.
Appreciate it, bro. So Chris, man, first things first, I'm always really curious. I can tell just the fact that we're Facebook friends that you're a family man. You got a beautiful family. You obviously have some wonderful portraits of you and your family. I'm curious, man. Like, you're traveling a few times a week. I know you're kind of based out of the Midwest, but sometimes you're in Nebraska, sometimes you're in Missouri and Kansas, man. How does that work for your schedule with your family, knowing that you've got like whatever your regular job is, and then on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, you also do photography almost like as a second full-time job. So how do you find a way to balance all that, man?
You know, it's one of those things where family does always come first. But several years ago, I brought two of my little girls. I've got two 10-year-olds. One's about to be 11, and they very quickly became super fans in the Midwest. And they had a passion for wrestling. I took them to a show on a whim, and the next thing you know, they were obsessed. So it makes it easy when I got pals to go along with me. And then, you know, I've got my oldest son, or my only son, my oldest child, Parker, and he is looking at doing some training, although he may decide not to after June 7th because he actually has to take on his old man in a tag match, myself and Donnie Pepper Cricket against my son Parker and Santos Barbosa. Don't ask me how we got into this. This started 7 months ago as a dare from 3XW owner Todd Countryman, and it has been you know, one of those things, one thing after another, and now me and my son get to go at it. So that should be fun. But that is, you know, my wife is amazing, and it's funny. As I was stopped for a second, she was like, "I'm trying to get tuned in, but I can't get the load." So I said, "Go to the YouTube. It's live there." That's where I was able to listen to it. And she's literally the most amazing human on the planet. You saw. Since we're Facebook friends, you saw my post about her on Sunday on her birthday.
I did.
She turned 40, but I'm not supposed to say that. She's actually only 25. And I mean, my wife is the most selfless human. She's the most selfless human being on the planet.
Yeah, you better hope she's not listening.
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting for a text to come through right now. But she is absolutely amazing, and it's stuff like I realized. You know, I've come down to PWP, I've covered for Tony in the past, but I kind of do their promos, and I realized it had been, gosh, close to a year since I'd done their entire roster promos, so I figured I'd come down and update them. And I told her that Monday, I was like, hey, on Wednesday, I got to go to Omaha after work, and she's just like, whatever, I'll see you Friday.
That's awesome. And you know what, man, I don't think it's all for nothing because very quickly here, you've developed a hell of a reputation for the work that you do. And I know you don't only work in the world of pro wrestling. According to a little bit of the research that we did, you also have had the opportunity to do some photography for like some really well-known like A-listers and bands and stuff. I'm seeing Dave Matthews Band, 311, The Offspring, Saliva, Puddle of Mud. How long has it been since you did some of those gigs? And can you reminisce a little bit about kind of having that access and getting an opportunity to like hang out with some rock stars, dude? That must have been something special.
Dave Matthews was last Tuesday, so that was.
Holy crap! Okay, wow. All right. Wait, hey, thumbs up to our research team. Way to go, guys.
I'm still on Cloud 9 from that. That was something that I got through a local publication, City View, here in Des Moines, where I live, and it was me and 3 other photographers. So it was really humbling that they chose me and the work that I've done for City View to be able to get that close to a band that I actually used to sneak it because I'm from Virginia, which is where Dave Matthews Band was formed, and to be able to sneak into clubs underage to watch Dave Matthews play long before they had made it huge. It was very cool to kind of have it come full circle last Tuesday and literally, you know, have Dave look down the lens of my camera and remember being a 16, 17-year-old kid sneaking into places that I probably shouldn't have been going to be able to see them play before they had made it as big as they are now.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You
Dave Matthews.
Go ahead, Jonesy. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying that I like the Dave Matthews Band. And Christian, you better hope that your wife doesn't listen to the podcast because she's going to know that you told everybody her age. You always tell them that she's 25.
Always.
I'm not lying.
I know, that's what I
Always
thought.
25.
Well, I gotta drop for how Chris felt immediately after he said that.
No.
No. That's well, you know what? You kind of answered my last question unintentionally, and we'll go ahead and throw it over to Jonesy. What I was going to ask you is, man, do you still kind of get starstruck? I mean, you're getting it to talent in the world here in the Midwest. You're getting to shoot bands that that have been around, that are kind of legendary status, and you get to do it almost on like a weekly basis. So I'm guessing that occasionally you still kind of mark out a little bit, right?
Occasionally I do. I can tell you my most recent starstruck moment was I was shooting for First Wrestling up in Minneapolis, and Eric Cannon and I have a great relationship, and he's just basically always said, whenever you want to come up here, come on up. And my buddy Michael Watson, who I actually owe several of my opportunities to, he's been a photographer in the Midwest for quite a while. He's like, hey, you want to come up to Minnesota? I'm like, yeah, let's go. I was on vacation. And he was like, yeah, I know why you want to come, because Joey Ryan's here. That was, I don't know if you guys saw it, but it kind of went semi-viral. Penelope took the blow pop and put it in an uncomfortable place on Joey.
Yes, I saw
it.
it.
I got that picture and I tweeted I tweeted it out right after the show, because I tend to do that. I'll take a big moment from the show and get it out there so the show has some buzz and gives me a couple of days to work on everything else. And I'm sitting there looking at pictures, and Joey comes back, and I hear him say, "Did you see that? Her finger is up my ass." Sorry, can I say ass?
Yes, you can. It's internet radio, bro. You're cool.
Her finger is up my ass. Eric, look at this. Her finger is up my ass. And he was like, well, Chris took that right there. And he was like, dude, this is the best picture ever. And I'm like,
I thought he was going to be pissed. I guess not.
No, he thought it was phenomenal.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, Jonesy, why don't you jump in here, man, with any questions or thoughts you might have for Chris Manning?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I guess that the one question I want to ask is, how exactly did you get it?
It's funny. It's one of those things. I think everybody has a similar story. You cut off there for a second, but I think you asked how I got into wrestling photography.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody has a similar story. I took the girls to a show. I grew up a wrestling fan. I'm going to age myself. My first wrestling memory is Starrcade '83, a Flair for the Gold. I grew up watching the Rock and Roll Express. Being from Virginia, we had Braves baseball and 6:05 Eastern on Saturdays, TBS, Jim Crockett promotion. So, grew up a huge wrestling fan. Ended up, I actually wanted to be a wrestler and ended up having a talent for baseball. So I played baseball professionally for a little bit, and I just had to go because, at that time, there were guys making careers out of wrestling, but not like they were in baseball in mid to late 90s. So I took the opportunity to go with baseball. Some things changed on that. So I did a little bit of independent training, and then started having a family and just kind of backed off of it. I followed WWE, TNA, the demise of WCW, all those fun things. I never stopped being a fan. And then, when my kids started getting older, I saw a sign for a show in Bondurant, Iowa, and took them. Happened to bring my camera. I owned a newspaper back in the late 2000s, and that's where I really started getting into photography. I've never been formally trained. I've never, but I've got having a lot of good mentors, and I'm not going to say I've copied a lot of people's styles, but I've definitely taken some influence from some well-known photographers. And showed up to the show, brought my camera, took a few pictures. The kids loved it. We went to another show, took a few pictures, and then the owner of that company, next time I was at a show, he's like, hey, do you do this for a living? And I'm like, no, it's just for fun. He's like, well, literally, you can shoot from wherever you want. You're going to ringside, you want to go up on the stage, whatever. You can shoot from wherever you want. And then, another. I started off working for one company, then for two, and then at last count in 2018, I did work for 11 different wrestling companies.
Wow.
It definitely took up a lot of my time. Kind of took a step back on a few. Basically, I have my main promotions now, 3XW, in the Wrestling Revolver when they come to Iowa, and that was a huge opportunity that I was given thanks to Michael Watson and obviously Sammy Callahan. Rugged Pro, Magnum Pro, and I've been doing some work for my buddies in Kansas City at Journey, and I can't say enough good things. What they have created down there in 4 short shows at Journey Pro is the most miraculous thing that I've ever seen. Even if they do, for some reason, book the Buns of Steel Jay Fowler. I'm kidding, by the way. That's my buddy. I made the joke and I shared
His
this.
buns are very impressive, but we're not going to talk about that too much.
So, Justin, I know you're listening, so I'm going to put you over. Here you go. Justin is fantastic, and those people in Kansas City absolutely love him. But he's a piece of, okay.
Absolutely. So my second question that that I wanted to ask is you on your Facebook, you put up a post that you were going to enter one pro wrestling photograph that you've taken this year at the Iowa State Fair Photo Contest. Can you tell us about the Iowa State Fair Photo Contest? Is it like a big thing, or is it just something that you just wanted to do?
Apparently, it's a huge deal. I've lived in Iowa since 2011, and that contest seems to get bigger and bigger. And last year, just the winners alone took up like a 3,000 square foot room. So I think don't quote me on this, but I think they had something like 15,000 entries. And I'm a member of a local photo club here, I'm sitting in Omaha, but I live in Des Moines. I'm a member of a local photo club in Des Moines, and I'm not blasting any photographers, but for me, I want something that has a heartbeat, whether it's a person, an animal, whatever the case is. I'm not one of those guys. I've done it from time to time, but I'm not one of those guys that's going to run out and go take a picture of a sunset on a backdrop. Nothing wrong with that. There are some beautiful pictures. That's just not what I do. I don't like going out taking pictures of cornfields. Again, for me, it's got to have a heartbeat. And this local contest, I really tried to shake it up this year. It's a monthly thing. It's really not a big deal. It's local. There's probably 200 entries. But, and you'll see the same things. There'll be pictures of silos and pictures of cornfields and sunsets and downtown Des Moines. And so the first picture that I entered was a picture of Joey Anderson with blood from his head to his throat. The second picture I entered was a picture of Sammy Callahan being chopped by ACH, where there's sweat just splattering everywhere. And then I would go in incognito because they take a roll call and say who all's here, who's a member, and I just never raised my hand because I just kind of wanted to see the honest reaction. When they put that picture of the blood-covered Joey Anderson up there, the gasps that came out of the room were just phenomenal because there were people that were either disgusted or thought it was absolutely amazing. And so for me, I just wanted to shake it up and do something different. And that was the idea behind entering the one picture into the state fair, just because I want to see if something different, because while there are a ton of wrestling photographers, and I could go on and on and on about the just plethora of talent of Midwest wrestling photographers, again, just in the Midwest alone, if you talk about it nationally, and then some of the best wrestling photographers in the world are over in the UK. But we're still a very small percentage of photographers, and I could almost guarantee you that I'll be the only person with a wrestling themed photograph in the Iowa State Fair. So it is, something I'm hoping I can shake it up a little bit and maybe give an honest chance to something that's not the same old. Sorry, I'm very long-winded.
No, absolutely. My last question is probably going to be a pretty tough question, but out of all of the pictures that you've taken in professional wrestling, what has been your favorite one?
Oh. Yeah, that is a tough one because it literally changes. It literally changes almost show to show. I can tell you one that has never gotten old, and every time that I see it, I still wonder if that came out of Michael Watson's camera or somebody way better than this at me, or way better at this than me. And that was a picture of my buddy Duke Cornell. He's currently the PWP Live champion. He may not be after tonight because the main event here is him versus the Candyman Willie Sweet and the Unbreakable Michael Elgin. So he may not be at the end of the night. When he first won the title, we did some portraits so they'd have him for the posters and whatnot. But anytime that I do a promo session, unless it's something really quick, I like to do some of the artsy stuff for myself, and the talent really seems to enjoy it. And there's a black and white of Duke holding the title, and he loved it. His wife loved it. That one's really special. Although honestly, there's one that there's not a wrestler in it, but there was a 3XW Queen of Des Moines tournament last year where it was an all women's tournament. And my daughter's favorite wrestler in the world, does not matter who, you could put her up against Becky Lynch and they're still going to cheer for her. And that's the Queen Bee, Brooke Valentine. And when Brooke Valentine won the Queen of Des Moines, I took a picture of my daughters. And unfortunately, at that show, Brooke was a heel. Didn't matter to the girls. Didn't matter to Brooke. She would high five and hug them and then tell everybody else to go take a hike. And you have Peyton, who has her hands covering her mouth like it's the greatest moment in her life. And Sydney just has this cocky little smirk on her face like, yeah, I knew this was going to happen. I knew our girl was going to win. So it's probably a toss-up between those two.
Beautiful.
That is freaking awesome. All right, so Renee, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, well, I don't have a question. I actually just have something I want to share. So, you know, I always have a good time during this show. We do 2 hours, and it always seems to go by so quick. And I was having a blast until you brought up Brooke. Because let me tell you something, Chris. I'm still a little upset, okay? At the last show, not the last show, the show before last, show number 3 at Gurney, I'm sitting front and center right there with my back to the camera. Shout out to my boy Josh. Does a great job behind that camera. Brooke and Marty Bell decided that they had a problem with me, and I believe you were working the show, so you might even remember. Marty Bell came over and stole my beer. And that's something that I did not take very kindly to. And on top of that, Brooke snatched my hat and bent it, and it's my favorite hat, and I'm showing it right now on the YouTube Live. So this is the evidence. You guys see these tears right here at the top of my hat? It was because of Brooke and her nasty attitude. So as amazing as she is and as talented and as awesome as that picture is, you just brought up some hard memories for me, Chris. I love this hat, and they ruined it, and they took my beer and everything, and they never even came back and said sorry. Come on, man. It's messed up.
You better watch out. You better hope my girls aren't listening because they will come down there and find you if you start talking about
I didn't do nothing. I was just saying that they cheated, and they cheated. But hey, you know what? Good or bad, some people always connect with the crowd. When Brooke was being, bad, then guys like me, boo, you suck, blah blah blah. And when she's being good, she sucks in the whole rest of the crowd. And that's why I get so excited. Like when we talked about potentially you having you come on. I was like, man, there's so many local guys that are probably going to come up, guys and girls that are going to come up that we're going to be able to have a great conversation. And it's funny because earlier you mentioned ACH. And Jonesy, you know who my favorite wrestler in the whole wide world is, right?
Yes.
Oh, geez, Louise.
Rick Maverick.
Rick Maverick. No, not Rick Maverick, man. It's ACH. You know that. Come on, man. Stop messing around with people, man. Jonesy, you're such a dang troll.
And I'm so happy for the opportunities he's gotten.
Dude.
I only got a chance to work with him once, but he is a great human being and just an amazing talent in the ring. And I cannot wait to see him and old Shane Strickland tearing it up on the main roster sooner.
Oh my goodness. It's crazy. And I'm thinking back to some of the Evolve stuff with Riddle and ACH and some of those other guys that are over there. It's just blowing my mind to think that it's going to be coming up pretty soon. Well, listen, I did have one last question before we get in to the final phase of this interview, Chris, and that is your experience with Revolver. Obviously, here in the Midwest, there are a few promotions that like kind of stand out. That are a little bit bigger, more names come in, world class, and you know our friends over there, Jerry Bostic, and those guys do a wonderful job. And then there's Revolver, and you know you got the likes of Tessa and TJP, and that kind of maybe add a little bit more fuel to your fire. That you know you're for too long. Is there something special in it for you from a fan's perspective, even though you're there to work, that just gives you that extra joy and excitement and that's why you're willing to do those drives on a Tuesday night after working all day and, you know, that whole deal? Is there any of that sentiment within you?
Yes and no. Honestly, people will ask me, or people that know me will tell you, when I'm working, I'm working. And it doesn't matter if it's, you know, a local kid having his first match or if it's, you know, OVE versus the besties at ACH. I'm using that as an example because I got to shoot that. But I can tell you, yeah, it was one of ACH's last indie matches. He was in Des Moines that night, and AAW the next night. I think he worked one more AAW show before he went to Florida. And you know, my very first Revolver show, again, thanks to my buddy Michael Watson. Because he had to do both the portraits and the in-ring stuff, and it's really, really tough to do. That's why down at Journey, most of the time you don't see me at ringside. I'm in the back doing, you know, working with Jake Something or Aaron Orion or whomever I need to get pictures for. And you'll see Audrey out there killing it. But so Michael was like, dude, come do it here. You can shoot ringside. I'll do it in the back. And then we got lucky. We were joined by Mouse, my buddy who does their stuff out in Ohio and literally everywhere else. You talk about making the towns. This guy is everywhere.
Wow.
But my very first show was, the main event was Jimmy Jacobs versus Pentagon.
Oh, dear goodness.
A second for me to go, huh?
What?
And it was an Impact Live Twitch. So it was Josh Matthews was there. You know, they were doing actually broadcasting live. It was, and then they decided, they took a fan's vote, and it was essentially a hardcore match. They called it something else, but you know, it ended with Pentagon, who was the Impact champion at the time, package pile driving Jimmy Jacobs through the plywood table. But that one took me for a second. Pentagon comes out with the Impact title. Jimmy comes out in full zombie princess dress and makeup, and I'm going, holy cow, how did I get this opportunity? And one of the coolest things that I've still experienced in wrestling, you know, I put the pictures up. I always try to put something up the night of, and then I'll put the full albums up after. You know, it takes me a few days. I don't sleep that much, but I do have to get a little bit of sleep.
Yeah.
And I put the pictures up, and this would have been a Saturday show, and on Sunday, I got a Twitter or Instagram, I wish I remembered, a DM from Jimmy Jacobs going, man, these shots were phenomenal. Thank you very much. I mean, to have somebody who has been at the level that he's been, worked for the machine, you know, done the things that he did in Ring of Honor, wrestled the people he's wrestled, for him to take the time out of his day just to say, hey, man, these were great shots. Thank you. I mean, that's what makes it worth it. No one gets rich in independent wrestling, and photographers get even less rich. But people always ask me all the time, they're like, God, do you make a lot of money doing that? Nope. I do it to help the talent. I have, you know, you'll getting ready to walk in, I'll walk to the back of the locker room, and everybody will say hello and hugs and handshakes and all the stuff that goes on in the locker room. But, and I mean, this is no disrespect to anyone, but I got a ton of pals in the wrestling business, but my favorite part about it is, you know, 10 to 12 true friends that I've really made, and several of them will be in this building tonight.
Man, that's so cool. And you know, you talk about taking portraits backstage. Some of that stuff that I saw just from this last Journey show, especially when the Regals went when they didn't go heel, they went Howlet, and some of the pictures, man, it was just phenomenal stuff. And I'm a guy that's been following the Twins since basically their very, very first match. So that's awesome. And you know what, Chris? I feel like we could keep. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What'd you say?
I was just going to say that one was stressful because I had the Twins that were ready. They were getting their pump, and Hoodie was like, "Hey, can we get a few?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And then about 5 minutes before they were ready to go, Nick Chin was like, "Hey, I'm going to propose to my girlfriend. Can I get you to come out there and shoot that?" So I had the pressure of shooting an engagement, making sure I was in the right spot. And then I've got the Regals going, "All right, we're ready. I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait a minute. I got to go shoot Nick's engagement. I'll be right back."
Please hold. Yeah, that thing with Nick was incredible. He got to propose to his now fiance in the ring, and congratulations to him as also a former guest of the Wrestle Talk podcast. Well, Chris, you know what, man? I know we could go on forever, and I really do feel like we're just scratching the surface. So hopefully you'll join us again. But before you go, we do have a very special segment that we do at the end of the first hour, and it's called the Shoot and Shout segment. It's a little bit of a therapeutic segment where you get a chance, 30 to 45 seconds, to vent about anything in the whole wide world that is ticking you off or chapping your ass. It can be wrestling related or not, and we usually have a lot of fun with it. Are you willing to join us tonight?
Sure.
All right. Intern Timmy, go ahead and fire up that music as we kick off tonight's edition of the Shoot and Shout segment.
It's just one of those days where you don't want to wake up. Everybody's stuck. You don't really know why, but you want to justify. There's someone's head off. No human contact. And if you interact, your life is on contract.
Woo! It's time for the Shoot and Shout segment. Who's going first, Renee?
Jonesy, if it's cool with you, man, I'm ready to go right now.
Go right ahead.
Bring the fire. Bring the fire.
I'm going to bring the fire. I'm going to bring out that Latino heat that I know how to bring. And you guys heard me say it a little bit earlier. Guys, you know where my stance is on filming shows as a fan and Facebook Living and all that. We already talked about that. So that aside, this Saturday, AEW Double or Nothing. If you are that guy that is always on the Wrestle Talk fan page, talking trash, downing WWE, upset, pissed off, saying you're going to cancel your membership, your subscription, and you never, ever want to see it again, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. And you're that same guy that's been excited about AEW, WWE, I can't wait till they do this, and I can't wait till somebody else takes over. This is your chance to put your money where your mouth is. Pay the $39.99 and get the freaking pay-per-view. Don't talk about supporting wrestling and hating a company and wanting another one to be successful and not being willing to put your money where your mouth is. So quit your bitching, bust out your damn debit card, and slide in the information and go ahead and pay for AEW, because honestly, there's only one way that pro wrestling companies stay alive, and that's putting asses in seats and having eyes on the product. So this is it. Make or break. Rubber in the road. Men separating from the boys. If you really, really want this to work, you got to do your part. And that part is not going on social media and asking where you can bootleg AEW. Dang it, what's wrong with y'all? Pay the money. Stop being a baby. Jonesy, you're up next, man. I'm sick of these people, man. Bootleggers just piss me off.
All right. So I am up next. So here is my shoot and shout of the night. Ladies and gentlemen, today I went to go see the movie John Wick Part 3. And while I love the John Wick movies, the one thing that drives me crazy is it's not realistic. He's getting shot at by like 100 different people, and not a single bullet is touching him. He's driving down the road on a motorcycle and hitting people while he's driving, and he's not swerving, not even a little bit. It's not real. It drives me freaking nuts. How can you make a movie that's real? You know, the dude gets shot off of a building, off of a roof of a building, falls at least 50 to 100 feet, and then gets up and walks away.
Listen.
Fucking bullshit.
Well, Chris, you got to follow Nightmare Jones. That was a good one, Jonesy. What do you got for us tonight, Chris?
You know, mine's real simple, although I wish I could have known I'd drop the F-bomb earlier. I would have done it a long time ago. You know, mine is about wrestling fans or even wrestlers themselves that forget that this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be entertainment. You know, it does not matter. Obviously, the work rate and all that matters, but what really matters the most is if the fans are entertained. So if you've got guys that maybe don't 100% look the part, or you've got silly stuff like a father and son having a match in a couple of weeks, it's not that serious. It's meant to be fun. Go have a good time. If you're a wrestler, go have fun, be safe, make sure that you take care of your opponent, and make sure that the people that paid the money that ends up in the envelope that you get later, that they feel like it was worthwhile.
Freaking man. Thank you very much. A round of applause to Chris for that, man. I could not agree anymore. Jonesy, I know you absolutely agree with that, man. Okay, it looks like we're having Jonesy on some more technical issues here. We'll get him back in just a second. Well, Chris, I absolutely agree, dude. And listen, before we let you go, one last tiny bit of business. One, promise us you'd be willing to do this again with us because, like I said, I know we only scratched the surface. Number two, welcome as the newest member of the Wrestle Talk family. And number three, dude, please drop the social media so people know where to contact you if they're interested in maybe knowing and bringing you on for your various talents and services, especially as an incredible photographer.
Well, I appreciate that, and I would be more than happy to come on. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. And I've made my socials very easy. Everything is at Photos by Manning. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. If you go to at Photos by Manning, you will find both me, pictures of wrestlers, and pictures of my kids and my cat.
That's awesome. You can't beat that, man. Photos by Manning. Chris, thank you so very much for being here, man. I'm sure we'll run into each other down the road at a show, and hopefully we can work something out and have you back on before the end of the year, man.
I look forward to it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, brother. Grace and peace to you. Be safe out on the road.
All right, see ya.
Peace. Wow, 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 ladies and gentlemen, another killer interview right here on Wrestle Talk Podcast. Guys, it's episode 247. 247. That means we've been doing this since been doing this. Okay? And that is a huge deal because we are only 3 episodes away from episode 250. I swear it was just like yesterday that we were doing episode 200 where my favorite wrestler in the whole wide world, ACH, joined us. That was definitely a dream come true. And you know what else is a dream come true? Every single week when we get an opportunity to do this show for you guys, the Wrestle Talk family. So listen, as we near break time, I want to remind everybody that the Wrestle Talk podcast mugs are available right now, shipping immediately for $15 each. If you want to customize, it's an extra $5 plus shipping. Me and Jonesy are always grateful for you guys. And we want you to remember, again, that we do this for you. So we're going to go ahead and go into break here momentarily. After the break, we're coming back with the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion, the FWWC. These guys are out of their minds. They're out of the box. They're crazy. They cut promos. They fight for championships. It's like one of those E-Feds that you heard of from back in the day, but way, way better. I cannot wait. I'm just hoping that Jonesy doesn't turn into a complete jerk, okay, whenever he decides to turn into Nightmare Jones, because usually everything is fine. Everything is swell. Everything is great. But whenever the FWWC comes on, for whatever reason, Jonesy just turns into a flat-out jerk, and I'm really hoping that does not happen this time. That said, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in 2 minutes and 20 seconds with hour 2 of the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Renee.
nobody really the gorilla. Ain't nobody really the gorilla. I say, ain't nobody really the gorilla. Ain't nobody really the gorilla in the day. Whoa, don't be by that shit. Whoa, don't be not like it. Whoa, that's just come back shit. Whoa, jump up on the road. Come on, feel safe. No, we ain't stepping down. What? Y'all ain't put this way. Whoa, go real tactic. Ain't nobody really the gorilla. Go real tactic. Ain't nobody really the gorilla. Whoa, don't be about that shit. Whoa, don't be not that shit. Whoa, that's the bad shit. Whoa, jump up on the road. Come on, feel safe. No, we ain't stepping down. What? Y'all ain't put this way. Whoa, go real tactic. Ain't nobody really the gorilla. Go real tactic. Ain't nobody really the gorilla.
Yo, what up? Al, Nightmare Jones. What up, Wrestle Talk fam? Do it for y'all. Check me out. Kick in the door, waving the 4-4. Even them haters can't hate us no more. So unlock your door, cause we got some more. Every Wednesday we here, keeping it raw. Night Owl, Nightmare Jones, and all the best guests. Like a double barrel pointed right at your chest. Wrestle Talk, podcast.com. Smashing and killing it like the night of the prom.
Woo! What a freaking break. And ladies and gentlemen, I do have a very, very special song that we're going to play for the St. Louis Blues, making it to the NHL Stanley Cup, the finals. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do a little bit of Gloria, Gloria.
Yes, play it.
Gloria, you're always on the run now. Running after somebody. You gotta get it somehow. I think you got to slow down before you start going. I think
So, Renee, me not being a blues fan, what is the significance of that song Gloria? I don't get it.
Well, listen, bro. Are you sleeping under a damn rock, Nightmare Jones? The St. Louis Blues are in the Stanley Cup Finals. The underdogs are the underdogs. They're in there. And, man, we got so many loyal fans and listeners of the Wrestle Talk podcast over in the St. Louis area. I know you're in West Virginia, which was crazy because Chris Manning was talking about he was from Virginia. I'm from, like, South Florida, which is the East Coast. You're from, and we're all kind of from the same area, and we never got a chance to talk about that. But, man, the Blues are in. The underdogs are the underdog. Why they chose Gloria as their theme song, somebody's going to have to explain it to me. I'm not sure. But that gets me fired up. Got a lot of listeners over in the St. Louis area, bro. What other podcast is going to play Gloria for y'all? No other podcast does it. No other podcast is here every single week like the Wrestle Talk podcast, man. We do it for y'all. That goes out to my boy Chris Rodell. That goes out to my man Rick Price, Luke Roberts, Larry Nickel, Jay Hollywood, all my people. I love all my people over there.
Oh.
Shout out to the St. Louis Blues, man. Damn, why can't the Panthers be worth this shit? I wish we could just make the playoffs. What?
If you're going to shout out all those people, then I have to shout out somebody. Ladies and gentlemen, this past Sunday night, yours truly, El Mata became the FWWC Hardcore Champion. I could have booed the man. He's the Hardcore Champion.
Oh, jeez, Louise. You know what?
Nice
I'm not doing this with you, Jonesy.
And hating on El Mata all the time. All the time.
Well, and you're hating on truth and justice, Jonesy. You're a hater of truth and justice, and honestly, I'm quite tired of it. So I'm just trying to figure out, yo, where my St. Louis Blues fans at? Where's the love, y'all? We played Gloria for y'all. Come on, man. You can't. Come on. Who else is gonna do that for y'all, St. Louis? Nobody. Nobody. Only the Wrestle Talk podcast. That's who. Well, anyway, I believe it is time to transition in to tonight's FWWC segment. For those of you who are curious and wondering what it's all about, well, it's pretty simple, guys. The FWWC is the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion. You ever think about getting into pro wrestling but can't? You don't have the money, physically you can't do it. You got too many responsibilities outside of that, and you can't commit. Well, listen, the FWWC is a great alternative. You never actually have to show up to a ring or a show or a match. No, it's fantasy wrestling, okay? And in fantasy wrestling, you get an opportunity to compete for real championships, including that full-size, beautiful, brand new FWWC Hardcore Championship held by outta, blah, blah, blah. No one cares. And many other outstanding championships, including, I know you do, you're paid to do. Come on now, Jonesy, we all know that. And of course, of course. And of course, the FWWC Warriors Heart Championship, which is still up for grabs right now. And I'm very intrigued because I hear rumblings and rumors that we are still going to settle this match this upcoming Monday, but there's a chance, and a very slight chance at that. Board of directors meetings, I can't let you in on everything, Jonesy, but I can tell you that there's a chance that there may be a third competitor added to the Warriors Heart Championship match. And you know why we feel compelled to do that? Because El Luchador in Kansas City and Voorhees representing Red Brand, Luchador representing Blue Brand, they don't seem to really want the Warriors Heart Championship. They've been fighting over it since Money in the Bank. And if I'm not mistaken, it's been, close to a week since Money in the Bank. And still we have no Warriors Heart champion. Mm-hmm. And so, you got to do something, and we can't continue to have these time limit draws, double DQs, and things like that. We can't continue to have that. So what do we need to do? We need to shake things up a little bit, but I'm not sure if it's 100% kosher with everybody yet. So I'm not going to go ahead and spill the beans just yet. All I'm saying is the Warriors Heart Championship match this upcoming Monday in the FWWC is going to be one that you do not want to miss. And I'm going to tell you one way or another, we're going to have a definite winner. We're going to have a definite winner because it's going to be a first blood match inside Hell in the Cell. So really, there's no way around it. We're going to have a brand new Warriors Heart champion one way or another. That said, Jonesy, I know we got a lot of people from the FWWC on the line. We are about 11 minutes away from bringing on the Ring of Honor World Television Champion, Shane Taylor, who is defending his championship against Bandito in June. I cannot wait, dude. Bandito's a legend, okay? We're going to bring him on here in about 10, 11 minutes or so. But till then, we're going to go ahead and start getting through some of these callers. Intern Timmy, you know what to do, man. Go ahead and start getting these callers on because the FWWC is on fire.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and bring on this gentleman here. He is a former member of the FWWC. He is a man that is no stranger to the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Renee, and for some reason he decided to call in during the FWWC segment. So, ladies and gentlemen, Kronos, the Titan of Time, what is going on, sir? How are you doing?
Well, good evening, Nightmare Jones, or Joe, however you want to say it tonight. And good evening, Night Owl, or El Masa, or Renee, whichever one you are tonight. I want to say thank you, gentlemen, for allowing me to come on. It's been a while, so I wanted to make sure I called in.
What up, Kronos?
Are you calling in to announce you'll return to the FWWC?
Now, that would be special.
That would be amazing.
That would be special.
That would be amazing. Unfortunately, that is not the true cause of my call.
it was the show that I am still supporting, the FWWC and the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joy Renee.
Woo!
So I cannot say yes, I'm back. No, I'm not.
Well, we miss you, Kronos. We're glad that you obviously have not forgotten about us. I know you're doing a lot of big things out there for the community. I'm personally proud of you, bro. And honestly, we miss you in the group quite a bit. And we know that one day we'll be gifted with the opportunity of seeing Kronos in competition again, man. But you're seeing everything that's happened in the FWC, man. We have an official, full-size, 100% customized hardcore championship in the group. We've got, new blood versus old blood competing for the Warriors Heart Championship, man. Can you tell us maybe why it is that you have such an affinity for the FWC and maybe highlight some of the stuff that you've seen since you stepped away that's got you excited?
Well, I can safely say innovation. The FWC is the prime example of a group that continues to redefine itself, improve itself, and grow itself. We went from 10 people to 458 to
450. That's right, man.
So it's only because we produce quality products at no cost beyond the cost that you invest in yourself. Only that we produce this opportunity for those that do not get to experience real life mat wrestling. If you have done mat wrestling and you're in a group, thanks, because we get to meet actual wrestlers, so we get to see the local talents that are eventually going to make you big. For example, I always like Curtis Poland, the suplex assassin, or cyclone, I think is what it is, suplex cyclone. That guy is going to do amazing things, and he's still champ. So it's because of that, that's my affinity to just always take in notes, watch, see the things that I've done. Recently, I got to see some older videos that I produced way back away, and I was like, wow, I grew a lot. So this gives us opportunities to make a skill set that most people don't get a chance to. Plus, when you actually go out there, like the Knowledge, Mr. Kurt Knowledge, and put yourself into the ring, you already have experience in front of people, and you're not in business. It's all in fun.
Well, you know what? We've definitely found it to be a great motivating factor for people that are kind of trying to figure out whether or not they want to step in the pro wrestling business. And you're right, man. Kurt Malice, our buddy Marjo, Rick Maverick, Curtis Pullen, a.k.a. the Suplex Cyclone. There's a lot of people who have passed through the FWC. Johnny Rocco, multi-time champ in several different states, and the list goes on, man. It is really fantastic. So, Kronos, always, man, appreciate the support, man. Thank you for not forgetting about us. And, of course, we're all waiting very, very, very excited about maybe a potential future return of Kronos the Titan, the time to the FWWC, man.
I'm 100% it's in consideration, I can safely say. But I don't want to come in for a short-lived term. I'm not I don't want to put names out there.
Part-timer. You're not a part-timer.
Or someone retires for 2 weeks and goes back for another 2 weeks, and I don't retire but once. But then, I don't know, maybe SummerSlam I can do a match. I don't know. BOD can work that out. We can always definitely put myself in.
I don't know. Let's talk in the coming days, bro. Well, Kronos, thanks for your time, bro. We're going to move on to another caller, bro. Grace and peace.
Thank you. Good job, everybody.
All right. Adios. All right, Jonesy, we had a few other callers on the line, man. Let's go ahead and get this set up and going because we are about 6 minutes away from the Ring of Honor World Television Champion, Shane Taylor, joining us on the show, man. Who we got up next?
Next, ladies and gentlemen, we have your United States champion and another champion, Daniel Grimm. Hello, Daniel Grimm. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm great. How are you, Jonesy?
Well, I'm doing
How are
wonderful.
you, Night Owl?
Hey.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
What is going on, Daniel Grimm? Man, a lot of things have happening for you in the FWWC. Why don't you bring us up to speed, man?
Oh, well, you all were probably watching Money in the Bank. I wasn't quite successful in retaining a certain championship. But I'm so disheartened to hear that it hasn't even found a new home yet. So therefore, I think I'm just going to hold on to it for a little bit longer until something comes of, these events. But on the other hand, I'm still the longest reigning United States champion. Wink, wink, nightmare.
Oh, come on now. Cheap shots, Daniel Grimm. I thought we were beyond that point with you and Nightmare Jones.
Oh yeah, no, we're beyond that. It's just a little, a little nudge at. Yeah, never mind. We're beyond that. But, like I said, it's really disheartening that we don't have a top champ representing this group anymore. And I really feel as if the two that are going for it, maybe they're not worthy of it.
Wow, that is a bold statement. So you're saying that Luchador, who is basically captured every championship in the group, he's a former general manager here in the group and a long-term veteran, potential FWWC Hall of Famer. Why do you feel like a Luchador is not worthy of the Warriors Heart Championship?
What is it he keeps saying? 4 years of being in this group, and he has yet to ever capture that championship. I've been in this group for a year, and I held it for, close to 5 months? Someone's not putting in the work that they
That's
should
pretty
be putting
impressive.
in.
I got to admit, your 5-month reign as Warriors Heart Champion was extremely, extremely impressive. Here's my question to you, Daniel Grimm. Now that there's a potential for a new wrinkle to be added to the Warriors Heart Championship match, what do you think could potentially happen? I mean, would you, if offered the opportunity, would you be interested in appearing in that match? Do you feel like this is something that needs to happen to kind of up the ante a little bit? Or because I mean, clearly you don't feel like either of these guys are really cutting the mustard. So,
I mean,
what do you feel about that? Because it's kind of an unknown situation.
How do I feel? Yeah, if I was offered the position, you bet your ass I'm going to hop back in that ring and get my title back and bring it back to Big Dick Warriors Heart Champion.
Well, I mean, you know who I think would make a even better Warriors Heart Champion than
Calm down, nut hugger.
No, I'm just saying he would make a better champion, Warriors Heart Champion than Daniel Grimm. He's already won the Warriors Heart Championship at least once, and that'd be outta.
I mean, I said calm down, nut hugger, for a reason.
Jeez Louise, man. Seriously, dude? Every time? Wow.
Sure.
Wow. Okay, well, Daniel Grimm, any final thoughts before we let you go, man?
Oh, yeah. My final thought is hopefully the BOD makes the right decision on what's to happen with that title.
All right. You know what? We're going to continue to work tirelessly to make sure that we provide the very best matches in the fantasy wrestling universe right here in the FWC. Daniel Grimm, man, thank you very much, bro. I hope to see you continue to have success here in the group, man. And thank you for coming on and joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Hey.
Peace. All right, Jonesy, just a few moments away from bringing on Shane Taylor, man, from ROH, Ring of Honor. This guy's been fighting the best of the best for a long time. He's fought Punishment Martinez. He's fought Jeff Cobb. He's fought everybody. And for that reason, he is now the Ring of Honor World Television Champion. He's going to be joining us in just a few moments, but we do have a few more callers to get through. Jonesy, who do we got coming up next?
Let's see. Next we have Battle Cat. How's it going, Battle Cat? Hello, Battle Cat. Battle Cat?
Okay, Jonesy, I don't believe this is Battle Cat. I don't. You know who I believe it is, and I could be mistaken. Maybe, just maybe, could it be Big Daddy P? Big Daddy P! Amigo, you are on live on the Wrestle Talk podcast with Joe and Renee. Is this Big Daddy P? Okay. Oh, look. Okay. Intern Timmy's got Big Daddy P on hold. Ah, there. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it was him. I knew it. I knew it. I recognized the number. And you know what? Let's go ahead and bring Big Daddy P on.
Unfortunately, intern Timmy still has not done his job and has not gotten the Big Daddy P music. Intern Timmy, you're about to be fired.
Next week, we're going to have the music back.
Let me see if I can do this real quick. Big
Daddy P!
How's that?
I think that was terrible.
You know, I gotta tell you, I'm a little disheartened, but you know something? It's okay, because see, what I have to say is more important than about who I am. If you remember last week, I said that I was going to share a snippet of truth. What's the difference between relationship and religion? And I'm about to tell you right now, because a lot of people don't realize there is a difference between religion and Christianity. Religion is man's way of trying to prove to God how good we are. Christianity is God showing how good he is to us. So I just want to leave with you a snippet of truth that it is not about trying to impress God. If he put you on this earth, there's a reason why. There are people who are driving home today who aren't going to make it home because they're going to be face to face with him. So if you're listening right now, the reason why you're alive is because God has a plan, whether you believe it or not. So if you're depressed, if you're having a rough time tonight, I'm here to tell you one thing. I did not write the words, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." God wrote those words. He's waiting right now to hear from you. So trust in him today, and I assure you that by doing that, things will begin to get a little bit better. You know, the challenge is people don't have hope, man. They don't know where they're going, so they don't know. That's why they don't have peace. So Big Daddy P is here to tell you one thing. Peace is only found in one name, and that is Christ Jesus. And it is by faith and faith alone. Faith and a mustard seed of faith, just a little bit. It says that by believing that Jesus is the Christ, that you would be saved. So my friends, I'm only on here for one reason, that is to tell you the good news, that he came and he died because he had you in mind. And it's that simple. You cannot impress him. You cannot do anything but believe. My brothers, I love you. I'm going to send you my new Big Daddy P's got a new theme. That's the reason why you haven't had it, because the old one is old. I got a new one. So, Renee, I'll send it to you. I love you guys. Father God, thank you so much for this opportunity to pray for my brothers and those that are listening. Continue to heal all the wrestlers that are recovering. Thank you so much for all that you do. We love you, and we ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.
You got it, Big Daddy P. Send over that music, right, Jonesy? Send over that music, Big Daddy P, and we're gonna get it on and popping starting next week for Snippets of Truth.
Yes.
And just
absolutely.
Wow, bro. Awesome having Big Daddy P back in the fold. Dude, I can't tell you how excited I am, man, with how great today's show has gone. You know, Big Daddy P shows up. He does his thing. And, you know, there was a little stint there where we didn't have him available to do the show. I know we missed him, but a lot of things have happened for him in the positive realm where he's now available to come back and do the show, I believe, every week. So we're going to have his music back, and we're going to encourage everybody. Listen, whether you're a believer or not, that's fine. You don't even have to disclose your name fully. If you have any prayer requests or anything like that that you think might be of help to you or somebody else, go ahead and submit them over at Wrestle Talk Podcast at gmail.com. That's Wrestle Talk Podcast at gmail.com. We'll make sure they get over to Big Daddy P. All you got to do is give us your first name and what city you're from. You don't have to go into any details. If you want us to pray for somebody on and off the air, we will definitely do that here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast, because, you know, as much as we love pro wrestling, bro, behind all this, there's reality. There's our lives. There are the lives of the wrestlers and the people that help make pro wrestling possible. And ultimately, man, we all want to live the best and most fulfilling lives possible. And without faith, that can be very, very difficult. So we always encourage people, whatever it is that you believe, pursue it with vigor, pursue it wholeheartedly, man, and hopefully very, very good things will happen with you. All that said, Jonesy, it is almost that time to bring in Shane Taylor. We should have him with us here in a matter of just moments. But before we get to him, I wanted to ask you, bro. You heard everything I had to say a little bit earlier about AEW. We haven't even discussed the card yet, bro. So just briefly, tell me what you think about the card, some of the rumors with Pac, aka Adrian Neville, kind of being pulled from it and then added back to the card, but kind of in a pre-show type thing against Adam Page. Do you think there's too much going on before this show? And do you think that potentially it could cost them with, having some of these questions up in the air, in addition to that cost that is really surprising some of the fans out there, which we discussed earlier? It's $39.99 for the pay-per-view. Now you're not even really sure if you're going to see Pac. Is that enough to discourage you as a fan from taking a chance on AEW and paying that money to watch the pay-per-view on Saturday?
Absolutely not. I am going to a friend's house to watch the AEW pay-per-view, so I am definitely excited about what is going to go down with this AEW pay-per-view. And if it's anything like All or Nothing, it's going to be a really, really good pay-per-view. And, I'm excited to see the Battle Royal. I'm excited to see Nyla Rose. I'm a pretty good friend of Nyla Rose. She wrestled for Kobe Pro. So I've seen her wrestle multiple times, and there's just so much good stuff that is going to be happening in this pay-per-view. And while Pac against Hangman Page being canceled is kind of disheartening, I kind of understand it. The rumors were that they were going to have Pac lose to Hangman Page, and Pac is a champion in Dragon Gate USA. So he didn't want to go into this pay-per-view being the Dragon Gate USA champion and end up losing, because then that makes Dragon Gate USA look not very good. And it's a typical thing. If you're a champion in another company and you wrestle for another company, it's kind of hard to justify you losing. So it's just I totally get it. I understand. We the same that was a champion in another promotion looking for another, and the promotion put a kind of a thing on where the guy could lose, but if he lost, he had to lose by cheating. Like said, the guy had to literally lose by cheating so that it didn't make the other company look bad. Do you understand what I'm trying to say, Renee?
Well, I do, Jonesy, and it's funny that as you're talking, it's actually kind of opening up my eyes to something. And I'm going to relate it back to kind of like basketball, because I'm a big basketball fan. Anybody who knows anything about basketball, you know that the Golden State Warriors are like the 2 or 3 time defending NBA champions. A couple of seasons ago, they added Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant has been Kevin Durant. He's outstanding. He's phenomenal. He's more talented in his pinky when it comes to basketball than 99% of the world is in the rest of their bodies. Okay. But what he's coming to find out now that he's injured is that the Warriors don't really need him. They are still smashing everybody even without him. And I think it's a tough realization for him that as good as he is, he may be the best player in the world. The Golden State Warriors don't really need him. And the reason that I bring up this analogy, Jonesy, is that what is the potential risk of working for AEW if you're somebody like Pac? What is the risk? What is the risk? The risk isn't necessarily to a guy like Pac. The risk is to any other promotion that he's associated with. In this case, Dragon Gate. Dragon Gate must have said, wait a minute, so you're undefeated, because Pac is undefeated since leaving the WWE. So you're telling
Yeah.
us that we invested all this time, energy, and effort in you to become our champion, and Dragon Gate is a very significant promotion. It's not just some, run-of-the-mill, down south type of promotion. Okay. It is a promotion that is well respected and has been well respected for a very long time. So are they willing to send their talent over to AEW just to get destroyed by the likes of Hangman Page, the Bucks, Cody Rhodes, and Kenny Omega? Because I think there's a little bit of a fear factor with certain promotions. I think some of these other companies are going to go, no, screw that. We're not going to send our top talent and let them be booked over at AEW just so they can be destroyed by the Bullet Club. We're not going to do that because it doesn't serve us well at all. And I think that's maybe what we're seeing here with this situation in AEW anything, and we wish you much success, but you're not going to have success at our expense. And you know what, Jonesy, moving forward, that's something that as a fan, I would keep a very, very close eye on. Because if there's anything that is going to hurt AEW, it is going to be the internal politics and the booking of the shows where people think that maybe they should be in a position that they maybe should not really be in, or maybe they think that they should get there a little bit sooner than what the writers want them to be. I'm very, very interested to see how this is going to play out. But when you started talking about it, it kind of brought that idea into my mind, because ultimately, if a company like this with this much money, this much talent, this much wrestling wisdom is going to succeed, they're going to have to evade some of the pitfalls that some of the other companies have fallen into. And I think that this concern is a very realistic concern if you're an AEW fan, and especially if you're a person that is affiliated and depending and hoping for the success of AEW. That said, I wish them all the best. I hope the pay-per-view freaking kicks ass. I'm looking forward to watching it, okay, because I don't want to miss a historic making event, okay? But at the same time, you're already starting to see a few cracks here and there, and that's something that you can't ignore, because, where if walks like a duck, talks like a duck sort of thing, you can't just completely turn a blind eye to it, because there's a realistic chance that this could turn its ugly head down the road as AEW starts to kind of, start their journey to try to compete with WWE. What do you think about that, Jonesy?
Absolutely. I could not agree more. I definitely agree, but why don't we go ahead and get a fan's thoughts on this? Ryan from Cumberland, I know that you're waiting on Shane to come on to ask him a question, and he should be calling in any minute, but so what are your thoughts on AEW, and are you excited for the pay-per-view?
I'm going to order the pay-per-view just because I prefer to go to shows instead of watch them on pay-per-view, because there's so many shows in the area on Saturday night. That's usually where I can be found at.
Okay.
But I think I know what's going on with this Adam Page issue. I don't think it's that Pac was lose this match. I think it was that they're worried that he was going to keep the title for, say, like a year or so, and they weren't able to beat him, anytime, is what the issue was.
Oh, I see.
That is true.
That is true. Joe, what do you think?
You definitely make a good idea to it, and maybe that's exactly what it is. Maybe that's why. I mean, so Ryan, what match are you most looking forward to in this pay-per-view?
Probably the Chris Jericho match, just because he's the biggest star, and it's very interesting to see if he can keep going, like being around 50 years old, if he can still keep up with these younger guys.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely crazy. Chris Jericho is really, really killing it since he's not in the WWE anymore. Renee, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you guys what. The bottom line for me is this, and for those waiting for Shane Taylor, I have sent him a message. He was scheduled to be on the show tonight, and no shows is not something that we typically deal with here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. But at this point, Shane has been unresponsive, and we are hoping that he is okay, and that we're able to still bring him on with a few remaining minutes on tonight's show. So I do apologize for that. We're not one to schedule people and not have them show up, but hey. Life happens, and again, we're hoping that Shane is okay, that we'll hear from him very, very soon. But with that said, guys, to me, nothing is going to overshadow the importance of this weekend, okay? As we mentioned earlier on in the show, Jonesy, you've got the whole situation with Brock and his return and the Money in the Bank. There's a certain sense of desperation there, and in my opinion, guys, AEW has to capitalize. And I'm not saying they have to hit a 4-run home run this upcoming Saturday, but they have to deliver on every promise that they've made. And that promise is we are not going to allow business to dictate how we write the show. And I think part of what they've been trying to get across to everybody is that we are going to present wrestling in its purest form. We're going to let the competitors compete. We're going to let them be who they are. We're not going to give them scripts. We're not going to give them a PG rating and still try to convince them that there's a way to be edgy. That's why promotions like Ring of Honor have been so successful. They know how to tap into who these people are and let them be who they are. I remember having ACH on the show for our 200th episode and him talking about how freeing it was for him when he went to Evolve, and he was allowed to just be who he was, and wasn't always being asked to fit into like, hey, we need you to do this tonight, we need you to do this. They were like, no, just come in and do what you do. And if they can do that, guys, Ryan, Jonesy, I think that they're going to be successful, and I think the $39.99 price tag is a small price to pay to see that the wrestling that we've all been asking for, we've all been fiending for. We all want wrestlers to just do what they do. But for some reason, the promotions and the bookers find a way to stand in the way. And I think this Saturday, if all of our dreams come true, that is exactly what's going to happen. The talent is going to be allowed to do what they do best and entertain the crowd. And I'm very, very excited about it. So I'm hoping that everybody's as excited as me. And again, don't worry about the price tag, guys. And listen, we're not here with, AEW, there's no sponsorship money going here. What I'm saying is, if you're the fan that's been complaining for years about how stale WWE is, this is your chance to show up and put your money where your mouth is. Just like I said earlier, Jonesy, my opinion really hasn't changed on the whole thing.
Absolutely, 100%. So, as of now, we don't have Shane. We don't know why he hasn't called in yet. We are working on that, but we have something that's just as good. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy that is calling in has been on the podcast multiple times. It's our boy, Jay Hollywood. What's going on?
Woot, woot.
What is going on, Jay Hollywood? Thanks for having you on, bro. We're a little disappointed. We were waiting for our boy, Shane Taylor. We had the communication. Everything was set up. Everything was fine, but something may have come up. So in these few remaining moments of the show, man, please save us, bro. What is on your mind? You've been listening to the show. We've covered so many different things, and I'm sure you've got some thoughts, man.
My Wednesday absolutely.
I love it. So what do you got on your mind, Jay Hollywood? Don't be so coy, amigo.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just chilling, man. Just wanted to say what's up. You guys obviously keep killing it, man. Like you said, man, we've got some pretty freaking amazing things going on. We are actually been tasked with locking down the schedule for a huge, pretty big regional radio station, basically talk radio station. And I might have to talk to you boys off air about maybe getting you guys in the lineup. So we just got a pretty sick lineup that really, it will be historic and unprecedented, the lineup we're bringing. So there will be more details on that, but obviously continue to support. It's not combat everything, motherfucker. It's everything combat, because
that's what I said.
No, you said combat everything. I get it. Everybody does it. It's very common. But we actually kind of that show's been kind of on hiatus in the moment, but we're gonna put that back on blast once we get the radio station back up. But we got firing on full cylinders with the conspiracyfarm.com. The website's up. We just smashed on several different huge sponsors, dude. We've just been really, really killing it. And we're kind of going to take that momentum and move into, like I said, this new basically media company, dude, where we've literally been hooked up with the opportunity to schedule, 24 hours a day, 5 days, 7 days a week, in fact. So, like I said, we're gonna have to maybe talk, brother. It's a variety, man. We got political stuff, we got health and wellness, we got survival stuff, we got sports stuff, and I can't have a radio station that I'm running without some wrestling stuff. So I'm gonna have to holler at my boys.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, that be an honor and a pleasure, Jonesy. I know you're excited about that. And I'll tell you what, Jay Hollywood, this would be a good time to bring us on. And I'll say this modestly because pro wrestling is blowing up, man. You heard us talking about AEW this weekend. And truthfully, man, yeah. I think they're lining themselves up for success. But there are some concerns, especially on the heels of this whole thing with Adrian Neville, all of a sudden kind of getting pulled at the last minute from the card, apparently, which now, according to our buddy Ryan and some of the reports.
Even larger than that, dude. Like I said, I just go back a little bit further than you guys. And like everything in life, dude, it's cyclical. Wrestling is cyclical. It's gone through its ups and downs. And WWE, as huge as a behemoth that they are, they have their downs, man. And honestly, it's horrible timing for them to have this type of down right now with their ratings because they have these monsters breathing down their neck, man. NWA, AEW, just jump back on TNT. Like, dude, that is just straight love for cats who've been really, really following professional wrestling. So, like you said, it's a really, really cool time to be a professional wrestling fan or sports entertainment, however you want to call it, because the deck is definitely changing right now, man. You guys, when was the last time you saw cats in the WWE? It's like, no, I don't want to do this. I'm refusing to do this. Sasha Banks, all those guys, because they know, dude. It's like you can still make hella money in the WWE, but now they're not the only show in town. You know what I mean? It's not WWE and then the straight indie circuit. Now you got NWA, dude. You got, Marty Bell. How awesome was that? Seeing Marty Bell on the NWA show. I mean,
that was crazy. Competing for the top prize for the women in the NWA. Yeah. Man, that was huge news, especially for us guys who have seen her here locally on several different occasions. I agree with you, Jay Hollywood. I'm glad they brought that up because that should definitely not have gone without being mentioned on tonight's show.
Well, and as this renaissance is happening, dude, no one will ever sleep on this region. St. Louis or Kansas City, you had, back in the day, the NWA was basically headquartered in St. Louis. And then you had obviously Kansas, a huge kind of satellite of that with, Harley Race owner in the department, Vern Gagne. We all know the drill, but we have a certain obligation here in this region, man, to keep holding professional wrestling down. That's why not too long ago I dusted off my old show to be speaking to you and had on Nick Aldis. I actually have coming up. I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't even mention this. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she was one of the last human beings to see Gino Hernandez alive, and she was featured in that Dark Side of the Ring documentary. She's a British gal. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she's going to be coming on. So yeah, dude, just got to keep bringing the heat, dude. This is the area. The world is professional wrestling, but we have an obligation to this region to hold it down. Such of the rich history.
No doubt about it. Jonesy, any thoughts on that, man? Pretty exciting stuff going on with Jay Hollywood.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jay Hollywood, he's got, he's in the.
Jonesy, are you there, buddy? You having some microphone issues?
He was so overcome with emotion talking to Jay Hollywood.
I get, you know what? He's starstruck. Well, you know what, Jonesy, why don't you jump back in, man? I got a great idea, bro. Since Shane Taylor, unfortunately, was unavailable tonight, we'll go ahead and get him rescheduled, guys. Don't worry about it. We're going to go ahead and close out with your final thoughts. And then let's see if me and Jay Hollywood can't do tonight's Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. So jump in with whatever you were going to say before you got cut off. And then let's go ahead and have tonight's edition of the Game Show Challenge. Night Owl versus Jay Hollywood. I don't see why not, baby. Let's do it.
Woo!
Yeah.
what I was saying is, Jay Hollywood, you've had the opportunity to interview a lot of awesome people in the professional wrestling business, such as Bruiser Brody's wife, who Bruiser Brody became, a lot more people are know more about Bruiser Brody now because of the dark side of the ring. Which is freaking awesome. A lot of people didn't know the entire story of what happened with Bruiser Brody, and now you're getting to talk to somebody that knew Gino Hernandez, who was another wrestler that was gone way too freaking soon. So that's freaking awesome. Good luck, man.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome,
absolutely,
dude.
Bro. Absolutely.
We're excited for you.
Again, a lot of these guys are a lot more accessible than you guys not that you guys, that people realize. You guys, that's why I love listening to the show, because I love your guys' banter and all that, but I love when you get, Kenny Bolin on, you get Superstar Bill Dundee. I mean, you guys are absolutely killing it. And honestly, real talk, and Renee and I have talked about this off air, and that's why I proposed possibly getting you guys on our lineup. Everything is a process, man. The journey of 1,000 steps talks begins with that first step. You guys took that step however long ago. And to watch you guys, and I'm a faithful fucking listener, I swear to God, to watch you guys evolve and really have patience for the process and just continue to do what you guys do, just keep doing what you guys do. Keep creating this content and everything will fall in place. I told Renee, man, if you guys were around in the 80s, not that you're not going to make money now, but you guys, it's such a great dynamic you guys have. It's just, you guys remind me of professional wrestling, dude. You guys hook it up, and I love it. I love you guys.
Well, we love you, brother. But you know what? I'm done with being polite, and I'm done with being politically correct. Jay Hollywood, it's time for me and you, brother, to step in the Wrestle Talk Podcast Squared Circle in tonight's edition of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Intern Timmy, hit the music, because I'm ready to take Jay Hollywood down, baby.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, welcome to this week's installment of the world famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Tonight's contest is scheduled for the best 2 out of 3 falls. Our contestants are the Night Owl Renee Martinez and Jay Hollywood. I will ask you about a particular professional wrestling topic. Whenever you think you know the answer to the question, shout out your answer, and the first person to win 2 falls will win tonight's game show challenge. In honor,
let's just go on ahead and congratulate our silver medalist, our second place. Congratulations, Renee. Great job.
Really?
Wow.
Come on, Jay Hollywood.
In honor of our guest tonight, Wrestle Talk Podcast category is titled Ohio is for Wrestlers. I will give you background information on 3 wrestlers that are from Ohio. Whenever you think you know who I'm talking about, just shout out your answer, and the first person to win 2 falls will win tonight's contest. It's pretty simple. I'll give you a couple clicks to shout out your answer. Whoever gets it right gets the point. First person to get 2 points wins.
All right, so wait a minute. So
Jay Hollywood.
Tonight's trivia is Ohio themed because Shane Taylor is from Ohio. Is that correct?
Okay.
Okay, got you. Okay, so this I'm a Floridian, and Jay Hollywood is an Ohioan. Oh no, wait, he's an Iowan. He's an Iowan. So none of us have an unfair advantage here. I'm pretty confident I'm going to do well, Jonesy, because you and Skywalker always set me up for failure. So now that Jay Hollywood isn't an expert on the state of Ohio, I have a realistic chance of being able to not get swept tonight. So I'm grateful.
Wow, that's something to aspire to.
Oh, shut up, Jay Hollywood. Let's go, baby. Let's get it on.
Question number 1. This late wrestler was from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Brian Pillman.
Brian Pillman is correct. Oh, my goodness.
What? You never even finished the first sentence. Are you serious right now?
You know, this is how we do it.
Jay Hollywood,
Your check will
you
be in the mail,
sneaky
Nightmare. Your
son
check
of
will
a
be in the
gun.
mail.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. I had to let you get one because I didn't want to embarrass you. Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Question number 2. This wrestler is from Cleveland, Ohio. He spent many years
Dean
in
Ambrose.
the wrestling scene. No.
Dolph Ziggler.
Championship in absolute
The Miz.
intense wrestling. Chicago. No. Cleveland All Pro Wrestling, CBT Pro Wrestling, Evolve, International Wrestling Cartel, Dragon
Sammy
Gate,
Callahan.
Since moving to NXT, this 2018 PWI Feud of the Year Award recipient is the first NXT Triple Crown champion and is the current NXT champion.
Adam Rose?
No.
It's not Adam Rose.
NXT champion. Johnny Wrestling.
Yeah, no.
Johnny Wrestling.
You would be correct. Johnny Wrestling.
Well, hell, he named everybody in the last 30 years.
Shut your mouth, Jay Hollywood.
Right, sweet Mary.
Renee has 1 point.
Harley Race, British Bulldog, Gordon Tully, Take a Sick Reverend.
Hey, listen, I'm bringing all the.
This wrestler hails from Cincinnati, Ohio, and in his career, he has had championships in Combat Zone Wrestling.
Dean Ambrose, John Moxley.
See, here we go again. Yeah, he's got his PW Pro Wrestling Illustrated cards out. Going through.
What are you talking about? I'm live on YouTube right now. I'm not cheating. I'm not. What did I get it right? Is it John Moxley?
Yes, it is John Moxley.
Yes! Yeah, take that, Jay Hollywood. Bang, 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 baby.
Oh my God.
Shots fired. Damn you, intern Timmy, play my music right now, baby. Jay Hollywood, how you like them apples, baby?
Was that two?
What? No, that's 2 out of 3. Hit my music, damn it.
Oh, sweet Mary.
Here's your music, Renee.
Yes.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can go and every time I step up in the building,
Everybody hands go up.
and they stay there, and they.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, you know what they say. Sun even shines on a dog's ass some days.
Oh.
Intern Timmy, don't you do it. Intern Timmy, don't you do it.
Don't you do
Intern
it.
Timmy, don't you do it.
What?
Uh-oh.
Oh, man.
Hey, Jay Hollywood, there's your music, bro.
Intern Timmy.
That ain't even right, man.
Damn.
How are we supposed to get on the radio station with Jay Hollywood if we dog him out like that, bro? What's wrong with you, intern Timmy? You gonna get us fired before we even get hired?
Yeah. Definitely got to tighten the production up.
We got to tighten it up. Hey, you know what, Jay Hollywood? Another great episode of the Wrestle Talk podcast. Guys, I was really excited about Shane Taylor. I know all of us were. But we get Jay Hollywood instead, and that was good. So Iowa was definitely in the building tonight. Chris Manning did a fantastic job.
Sir.
Jay Hollywood did a fantastic job. Jay Hollywood, drop the knowledge on the people before we let you get out of here, man.
Yo, man, now that we got it all set up, we got a one-stop shop through www.theconspiracyfarm.com. You can check out all of our archived episodes, some of our videos, check out our store, our sponsors. That's what's up, man. Like I said, Everything Combat right now is on hiatus until we get the radio show going, and we will get that back up. But you can still check out Everything Combat on YouTube. George Foreman, Bruce Buffer, bunch of heavy hitters. We're going to be resuming that pretty soon. But appreciate you guys, man. Don't ever stop, dude. Don't ever stop. Love you guys.
And we want grace and peace, Jay Hollywood. Hey, and I got one last question before you go, man. How did you feel about your appearance tonight?
How did I feel about what?
I had to hit him. I had to do it. It doesn't matter what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Jay freaking Hollywood representing Iowa. Everything Combat currently on hiatus. The Conspiracy Farm at theconspiracyfarm.com. an awesome sister podcast with the Wrestle Talk podcast, a guy that I respect, man. And this dude cooks the best buffalo burgers that you've ever had in your life. It is the cure to hangovers. I'm telling you right now, if you've been looking, that is the cure for hangovers. Jonesy, again, little disappointed that Shane didn't make it on tonight's show, but it's all right. We'll reschedule. No worries, no harm, no foul. We love Ring of Honor. They've been very, very good to us, and I'm sure we'll go ahead and make up for it on a future show, man. That said, dude, do you have anything to say before we close out tonight's episode?
Just thanks everybody for listening. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you, Ryan from Cumberland, for calling in. Amazing, good questions. We welcome questions every week. Do not be afraid to call into the podcast because we will get you on and you can ask your question. You can give us what you think about what's going on in professional wrestling. So continue listening to us, continue supporting us, and buy a damn mug, damn it.
That's right, $15 as you see it here. If you want it customized like mine, another $5+ shipping. The Wrestle Talk podcast is here to help the local pro wrestling community grow throughout the world, baby. It's all about independent wrestling when it comes to the Wrestle Talk podcast. We will be back next week for episode 248, and I could not be more excited. And if you love the fantasy wrestling thing, go to WrestleTalkPodcast.com, look for the FWWC tab, click it, hit the link, it'll take you to our Facebook page, and then you can inquire more information there. Tomorrow night, Curtis Black, Marcus Mayhem, the FWWC Pick'em. That's round 3 of year 2 of the heated brand battle in the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion, the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide Chapter. Intern Timmy, go ahead and put something gangsta on for the people, something that goes hard, baby, as we close out 247 of the Wrestle Talk podcast. Nightmare Jones, Night Owl, signing out. We'll catch y'all next week, same time, same place, WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Woo!
So yeah, you're always on the run now. We're running after somebody. You gotta get it somehow. I think you got to slow down before you start to slow down. I think you're headed for a breakdown. So be careful not to show it. You really don't remember what is something that he said. All the voices in your head.